Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Raising Healthy Kids workshop. I'm Dr. Tabor Smith. For those of you who were on live with us last night, we're trying to do this workshop live, but we had some technical difficulties. Unfortunately, that happens, and our internet just wasn't working very good. So I wanted to re-record this workshop for you. It's really important workshop, especially for parents out there. But really, we're going to talk about health. So this is great for adults as well as it is for kids. First of all, I want to cover some brutal facts about health in our nation. You'll learn a lot of these facts on our documentary. We have a documentary called A Better Way. It's an award-winning documentary. We came out with it in 2020. You can go to abetterwaychiropractic.com to watch that movie for free. I highly recommend you do that. But here's my question for you. Which nation spends more money on healthcare than any other nation in the world? If you said the United States, you are correct. We take about 75% of all the prescription drugs in the world, but yet we only make up about 5% of the world's population. And you would think if taking prescription drugs meant healthier people, we would be the healthiest nation in the world, right? Well, guess where we rank amongst the healthiest nations? And this is from the World Health Organization. One of the studies they did showed that we rank 38 out of 40 industrialized countries when it comes to health. I don't know about you, but that is just unacceptable for me. In fact, when we go and zoom in to our state of Texas, we look at the Annie E. Casey Foundation Kids Count data profile. They do extensive research on the health of families in different states in America. They look at not just health, but the economic health, education of our children, the actual health of our children, and then family and community health. And what they show when we look at all the states in the United States, guess where Texas ranks? It's not good. We rank 45th when it comes to overall um, health or overall analysis of all the states in the United States, 45th. And so, again, not acceptable. In today's day and age, children are suffering with more and more chronic diseases. One of the statistics I saw was 16% of U.S. children have less than optimal health. Another statistic from the Children's Health Defense showed that 54% of children have at least one chronic condition right now. So that would be allergies, asthma, obesity, diabetes, all of these chronic conditions that exist. They're plaguing our next generation, right? And that generation is going to be healthier than the one than or is going to be more unhealthy than the last one, and it just keeps getting worse. A lot of people are blaming it on genetics and access to medical care, but experts have concluded that medical care and genes actually play a relatively minor role compared with the influence of physical and social conditions in which that child grows up in. So it's up to us, parents. We have to take the responsibility for our children and helping to raise healthier kids. They found that kids are healthier if they're in higher level, if their parents have higher level education. They're healthier if their parents' behaviors are healthier. Your children will do what you do, not exactly what you say. And let me ask you this, if we keep doing what we've always been doing, what's going to happen? We'll keep getting what we've always been getting. And to me, that's not acceptable. I want to show you that there's a better way. There's some things that we can take into consideration. There's some mindsets that we can work from that will help us to help our children live healthier lives. So let's start with the 5 mindsets that you have to have. The understanding of where health comes from. I want you to know, number one, your kid is designed to be healthy. When it comes to genes, look, we have about 20 to 25,000 genes in our genome, and you know what influences genes the most? Our lifestyle, our environment, and the decisions that we make. This field of genetic study is called epigenetics. We've shown that we can actually optimize our expression based on our lifestyle, based on the choices that we make. Just because you might have some genes for different diseases, if you have the obesity gene, doesn't mean you have to be obese. It means that you can actually regulate the expression of those genes by making healthier choices. So it's up to us. It's not completely up to just our genetics, right? So, number two, mindset. Your child's body is intelligent. It's amazing, just like yours is amazing. Think about it. You went from two cells, your child went from two cells, one donated by the dad, one donated by the mom. And in just 270 days, those two cells multiplied and divided and became a whole functioning human being, right? It would be amazing enough just seeing those two cells turn into a giant clump of cells. That would be pretty cool, right? Not just that, but now you have 50 trillion cells that are all individually specialized: kidney cells, liver cells, heart cells, brain cells. All of these things working in unison and in sync, allowing your child to breathe, to pump blood, to digest food, to heal. And you don't have to do anything. Now, don't get me wrong. Give credit to the mom for really working hard for the child to get here. But it wasn't like she was stuck in the corner having to put the left arm on the left side, the right arm on the right side, making sure that the heart got in the right spot, that the stomach was working properly. Can you imagine if we had to consciously build our children? It would be impossible. There's an innate intelligence in everyone, and it coordinates this optimal function or this optimal health that we're going to help. And all we do is help the body do what it was designed to do. Number three, your kid's nervous system is the master system. We talked about that intelligence that coordinates and flows through the body. Well, that intelligence courses across the nervous system. So your brain is constantly sending messages down your spinal cord, out your nerves to every organ, cell, tissue, and in your body, and controlling its function. Your child's nervous system is so important. And then number four, that nervous system is housed by a suit of armor called the spine. This is what makes the spine so important. It protects your nervous system, which we just said was the master controlling system of the body, which we just said the intelligence in your child flows through this nervous system. So it's so important to take care of this suit of armor that protects that nervous system. That's your child's spine. And then the last mindset that we have to come from when we're thinking about health, especially the health of our children, is they just live in a society today that is unnaturally stressful. Even more stress today than there was 10 years ago, than there was 20 years ago, than there was 50 years ago. It seems like it just keeps stacking up and stacking up. So if we want to be healthy and if we want to raise healthy children, we have to start implementing certain behaviors and making certain choices and doing certain things that allow our children to grow up in a healthy environment. Let's talk about development, natural versus unnatural. And your child might live in a couple of different areas. It's very hard to live just in this natural development landscape that we're about to talk about. So it's okay if some of the time we lived in that unnatural development. We just have to be aware of that we may need to give our children a little more TLC if some of these unnatural things happen to them in life. So let's talk about natural development first. The preconception. This means before your child was even born, were you healthy? Is the mom and the dad in good shape, right? Were they expressing health when they conceived? Then during pregnancy, was mom able to stay healthy and eat good nutrition and and nurture her health throughout the pregnancy? Then what about the birth process? Was it a natural birth, or did she have to have a C-section or a delivery in a hospital? Sometimes those things happen. Sometimes we can't get around them. What about toxin exposure? There's so much toxin in today's environment. But what about vaccines and antibiotics? Was the baby exposed to all of those toxins growing up and as an infant? What about fever? Are we constantly throwing medication to mask a fever, or are we letting that body express the symptom that it needs to express to be able to heal itself? Teething, the same way. Are we over medicating just because we're trying to help the baby with teething? Are we allowing them to get dirty every once in a while? Play in the dirt, get exposed to pathogens or get exposed to at least bacteria so that their immune system can grow. Those were kind of natural thoughts. What about the unnatural development that unfortunately sometimes our children live in or have to be exposed to? C-section, right? An unnatural delivery. And a lot of people are like, well, isn't a C-section less intense on a baby? In fact, no, they pull with a lot of pressure when it comes to a C-section, as well as the baby doesn't get the natural flora that it should get with a natural delivery. It just kind of skips that. And so sometimes the C-section babies need a little bit more probiotics or a little bit more help when it comes to their natural bacteria of their body. What about formula fed? If they're not getting breastfed, sometimes moms can't do that. Formula fed's not the same thing as being breastfed. Are we over sanitizing, not letting the baby's immune system being exposed to proper bacteria? And then did the baby have to have antibiotics or medications? And again, vaccinations that expose the baby to toxins. And then the hygiene hypothesis. This is kind of what we were touching on all the way through. But a baby trains for life the first 3 years of its life. It needs to be exposed to some bacteria so that it can build that immune system and be healthy. So that's an infant. What about now when a child's getting a little bit older and starts to go through school? Well, we have a whole different list of factors that we have to think about now. 5 vital factors that affect immune function during the school year. Diet is huge, especially in today's day and age. There's so much toxins in our diet. We're deficient in so many nutrients. We have to keep that front of mind. Sleep when it comes to school age children. Are they getting enough? Stress. We'll talk about that in a little bit too. Are they under too much stress, and how is that affecting their body? Their posture. Are they on screens all the time? I know sometimes, especially for my oldest who's in junior high now, they actually issue him a laptop. He's got to be in front of the screen in order to finish his homework. There's just sometimes you can't remove that stressor. And how are we dealing with it? And are we making sure that his body's being able to adapt properly to it? What about backpacks? Those backpacks are so heavy now. We'll talk about backpack safety here in just a second. Is our children getting enough movement? Because lack of movement is detrimental to their health. Are they getting outside, getting exposed, and able to produce vitamin D from sunshine? So they need the stimulation, they need the interaction. And neurological, are they getting checked for subluxation? As a chiropractor, we'll talk about that in just a second. I want to make sure that my son's spine, it's so important that it's subluxation free. School nutrition, if it looks like this, it is toxic. Not only just toxic, but also deficient. What are some things that we can do to help our child's diet and maybe help them get through if they have to be exposed to some of that food? Just making sure they get enough nutrients from their diet. Making breakfast a priority in your house. This is the one meal that they get before they have to go off to school or they have to, have quick lunches or whatever it is. Sometimes we can pack their lunch, right? Give them leftovers, making sure that we're doing as much as we can to cook home cooked meals that are healthy. Eliminating sodas. They don't need to be getting sugar through liquids. We need to totally eliminate sodas from their diet. In fact, we need to make sure they're getting little to no processed sugars. That's just going to hurt their health. It's going to dampen their immune system. And then what about supplements we might be able to help them with? Well, we talked about, especially if some of our children are exposed to those unnatural developments as they're aging, they definitely need these. But any child could benefit from these supplements. A probiotic, making sure they have good bacteria. Vitamin D supplement. Fish oil, which I actually recommend krill oil if you're going to supplement with omega-3, just making sure that there's omega-3 in it, that it's not used from farm-raised fish. And then a good whole food multivitamin is always good as well. I know what you're thinking already. You're overwhelmed as a parent. You're thinking, okay, yeah, sure, I'm going to be doing all of these things, making breakfast, getting up early, cooking. Well, here are some pictures of some breakfasts that we've prepped. And being able to provide a good healthy breakfast doesn't mean you have to get up 2 hours early and cook this big breakfast. You can cook it in advance. Making a frittata, cutting it up into squares, so your child can warm it up whenever they get up. Doing those little egg bites. Look on Google and the Starbucks egg bites. You can make those in a little cupcake pan and then put them in a bag, and your child has a bunch of them. They can just warm up, eat a good, healthy, protein-packed breakfast. Um, the smoothies. See those little bags on the top right hand side of your screen there? We'd make those little bags full of fruit and maybe a couple little vegetables in there, and then they can just dump them in the blender in the morning, add a little bit of coconut milk or water, and blend it up, and now they have a smoothie that they can eat full of nutrients and get them ready for the day. Here's some morning strategies. You might prep your morning when it comes to getting your kid off to school. You want to make sure that they're fueled up. Again, I think smoothies is a great idea for that because you can add plants, protein, and fats to the smoothie, but get a little bit of movement. So both before and after school, child needs to be moving. You could have a trampoline. I don't care if they jump on their mattress, if they run around, if they work out with you, or just do your range of motion exercises, which we're going to touch on here in just a little bit. Range of motion exercises are great for children to learn. Um, I've also was really impressed with our junior high, my oldest, who goes to Hamilton Junior High, just not far from our house here. His PE, his physical education, is first class in the morning, which I love that because they're getting them moving before they go and sit and learn about whatever they learn about in school. So number three, leave them laughing. Maybe research some jokes and share a joke with them every morning. Laughing is healing. And number four, probably the most important thing we can do for our kids, the 2-minute rule. Make sure the first 2 minutes of their morning, they're getting hugs and kisses. And then the last 2 minutes of their night, they're getting tucked in and they're getting more hugs and kisses. 2-minute rule means the first 2 minutes they're getting love, the last 2 minutes of the day they're getting love, and then just sprinkle it on them throughout the day as much as you can as well, because that's the number one nutrient if you want your child to be healthy. If you do nothing else, just give them tons of love. That's what they need. But they need sleep too. So let's talk about sleep essentials for health. Okay. We want our children to get into a routine. We want to maybe shut down screen time at least 30 minutes before bedtime. That way their bodies can kind of shut off that artificial light. It stimulates them too much, keeps them awake. So we want to shut off tablets, TVs, stop video games, and just help them to calm down a little bit. We want their room to be dark. Darker the better. I know some kids want night lights. Maybe we can put them in the hall. Maybe we can use colored night lights like red or green colors that kind of keeps it calm. It's not so bright. And then we want to make sure they're asleep during what we call the money time. From 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., that is when your child is going to do the deepest sleeping and get the best healing in their body. So make sure from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., your child is getting some sleep. That's going to be the healthiest time for them. But stress is a big deal for our children. In today's day and age, our kids are under more stress probably than kids were in any other time in the human race, the history of the human race. Their teachers, their friends, their sports, they're worried about their appearance, their grades, their schedule is crazy, they're worried about popularity, and the list goes on and on and on. So sit down and talk with your kid. Listen to them, ask them what's stressing them out, ask them what's going on in their life. That's vitally important. Their mental health is just as much or more important when it comes to their overall health as it is their physical health. So make sure we're talking and sitting down and spending some time with our children. Physical literacy just as important as being able to, learn to read. We need our kids physically moving. When our kids are moving, it helps eliminate waste and toxins from their body. It helps increase their circulation, which helps improve their immune system. Their white blood cells are moving, increases lymph flow, reduces their stress hormones. We just talked about how stressed they are. It helps them to deal with that stress. Kids are supposed to move before they start learning, and so that's why it's important to have that morning routine, doing that range of motion stretch. Disease harbors in stagnant tissues. Remember that. Posture is more important today than it's ever been. Talk to your kids about their backpacks, inspect their backpacks. This is a serious issue. Backpack injuries occur. There's over 7,800 injuries a year in the United States just from backpacks. So make sure that your child's backpack is only about 10 to 15% of their body weight. My son Ryder, he weighs about, let's say, 130 pounds. So that means his backpack shouldn't be much more than about 13 pounds. And that's hard to do in today's day and age. When you got a laptop and you got books, those things get heavy. We want to make sure that the heavier items are closest to the child's back. So when you're organizing their backpack, put the heavier items close to the child's back and then stack the lighter items out from the child towards the front of that backpack, okay? Make sure the backpack is cinched up tight and the arms are tightened so that backpack is close to their back. You want the backpack to be about the length of your child's torso. I think in the image there, that backpack might be a little bit too long for that girl, a little bit too big. Um, you want to look for red marks on their shoulders. If that backpack is leaving red marks on the shoulders, that's too heavy or you don't have it set up right. And then every week, at the end of the week, you want to make sure your child is cleaning all the junk out of that backpack. It will add up and add up, and by the end of the year, that backpack will be 30 pounds full of junk. So make sure that's getting cleaned out regularly. Tech neck syndrome. Excuse me. Tech neck syndrome is a syndrome that's affecting more and more people in today's society. It can lead to headaches, back pain, neck pain, developmental disorders, and more. And we are seeing tech neck in children in our offices more than we've ever seen before. We're even referring to it as digital dementia because when you have that much damage to the neck and upper back, it can affect that child's thinking process. It can affect the function of the brain. This is why children need chiropractic and spinal hygiene. We always tell our children, look up, right? My kids know if they're on a cell phone and I catch them looking down, I'm going to snap my fingers. I'm going to say, hey, look up. And they know exactly what I mean. They're going to get that iPad up, that phone up, and they're going to be in a better posture. You got to help them consciously keep that head up because if they spend hours and hours of it with it down in front of them, they'll start to develop tech neck syndrome. So make sure they're getting checked by a chiropractor regularly and you're teaching them their spinal hygiene exercises. What are their spinal hygiene exercises if you're new to our workshops? Well, let me share one of them with you. And this is the one I think that you should teach your kids to do. It's so easy that they can just do a posture break every once in a while. So sometimes when you're home with your kids, tell them we're going to do a posture break and we're going to do our spinal range of motion exercises. These are my two little ones, my twins, Jason, Jaden. They're doing their range of motion exercise there. But how do you do it? Well, this is Dr. Gina showing us how to do our range of motion exercise. Let's start with her picture over there on the left side of your screen. You'll bend forward like you're going to touch your toes. It doesn't matter if you can touch your toes or not. What I want you to focus on is feeling a stretch throughout the entire spine. Your chin down to your chest, curving that spine, feeling that stretch, and counting to 10. And I want 10 seconds, not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I want 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, and so on. Make sure you're spending 10 seconds at least on each one of these positions. So that's the first one. You're going to bend forward like you're going to touch your toes. Second one, you're going to put your hands on your hips, bend back like you're looking up at the ceiling. Make sure you're getting that arch in through the spine, feeling that stretch. The third one is you're going to look straight ahead, slide your right hand down your leg to your right knee, bend your right ear to your right shoulder, and really feel that bend all the way to the right throughout the spine. Count to 10. Then do it to the opposite side. Slide that left hand down the leg to the knee, bend the left ear down to the shoulder, feel that stretch in the spine, count to 10 seconds. Then the last two is you're going to put your hands in front of you, clasp your hands together, turn all the way to the left, rotate your head to the left as far as you can, feel that stretch, count to 10, and do it to the other side. Turn all the way to the right, turn your head to the right, feel that stretch in the spine, and count to 10. Now that should take you 1 minute if you're counting in seconds, right? So 6 exercises, 10 seconds each, should take you 1 minute. Everyone can do a posture break and take 1 minute every day to stretch their spine through its full range of motion. How do you know if your kid's spine is healthy? Is it in a good alignment? Well, I want to teach you real quick how to do a posture analysis on your child. And what you want them to do is stand straight with arms to the side, looking straight ahead. The first thing you're going to do is look right on in front of them from front to back. And what you're going to do is you want to specifically look at their shoulders. Is one shoulder higher than the other? Look at their hips. Is one hip higher than the other? Look at their face and their chest. Is it in a straight line or is their head tilted to one side? If you're seeing posture deviations or if you're seeing the shoulders or the hips that one side is higher than the other, you need to get them to a chiropractor and get them checked, especially if they're around the age of 8, 9, 10 years old. We're starting to see scoliosis that's happening in those ages. I highly recommend every child get checked by a chiropractor at those ages. And I would recommend an x-ray. It's been really hard to tell. I know there are scoliosis checks that you can do at school, and there's different you know positions you can put a child in to see if they have curves in the spine, but you don't see those things until the scoliosis gets really bad. I've had it missed so many times because we didn't get an x-ray. So I highly recommend, personally, I recommend an x-ray checkup for a child anywhere from the ages of 8 to 10 years old. But again, doing posture, checking it, you're going to be able to see if there's any deviations, and then you'll know to get them to the chiropractor. That's looking from front to back. What about from the side? Just like that lady on your screen there. From the side, their ear should be over their shoulder over their hip over their knee over their ankle. Again, if you're seeing any deviations one way or the other, get them to the chiropractor and get them checked. What do most people bring their kids into our office for? Well, unfortunately, most of the time they wait until there's symptoms. I don't recommend you wait until there's symptoms. I recommend you bring them in for wellness. Wellness is the most important reason to bring your kid to a chiropractor, but a lot of parents will bring their kids in with ear infections, asthma, constipation, bedwetting, headaches, leg cramps. Number 7 there is my favorite when parents bring them in for wellness. Number 8, allergies and skin conditions. And I had to throw wellness in there twice because I love it and it's so important. Just bring your kid in for wellness. Get them checked and get them adjusted. It's important. Now, why would we do that? Here's the one thing I want you to understand as a parent about your child's spine and nervous system and about chiropractic. This is what I call the big idea. And once you get this, you really understand the power of having a chiropractor on your health team to help you and your family take care of your health for a lifetime. So this is a fact, not deniable, not even, debatable. Your body and your child's body is self-healing and self-regulating. Meaning, if you get a cut on your finger, what happens in a week? That cut will heal. Every day your body is self-regulating, meaning your heart is beating, your lungs are breathing, your stomach is digesting, and you don't have to consciously think about that. Self-healing and self-regulating. That's important because that is health. How your body functions determines your health. Now, the nervous system, which it consists of your brain, the spinal cord, and all those nerves in your body, that is the master controller system of the body. It is controlling your body's ability to self-heal and self-regulate. So your nervous system is very, very important. If there is interference in your nervous system, the body can no longer heal and regulate properly. And did you know that misalignments in the spine, this is what we call subluxations, are correlated to interferences in the nervous system? When you have a misalignment in your spine, it can interfere with your nervous system, which then interferes with your body's ability to self-heal and self-regulate. So chiropractors work to remove those interferences by adjusting the spine very gently and removing those subluxations, allowing your nervous system to function at top notch and your body to self-heal and self-regulate the way it was designed to in the first place. That is the big idea. That's the one thing I want you to understand from this workshop. It's the reason chiropractic is so important and why it can be a very vital part of wellness and health for your family. So subluxations, we mentioned this a little bit. What is it? Joint misalignments. It can cause soft tissue damage, can cause inflammation, can cause nerve irritation and muscle spasms, loss of movement or joint fixation, and then eventually degeneration. Did you know that it can take 5 to 15 years for joints to move from healthy to degenerated, phase 1 degeneration, and we're starting to see phase 1 degeneration already in teenagers. That means their spine has been under stress since they were 5 or before in order for them to have phase 1 degeneration already present as a teenager. That's why in today's day and age, it's more important than ever to take your kids to the chiropractor and get them checked. And then you wonder, well, how did subluxation get in my child or get in kids when they're only 5 years old or they're less? How does subluxation get there? Check this out. This is a copy and pasted paragraph straight from the CDC's website. It said that the Center for Disease Control and Prevention reports that children ages 8 to 10 spend an average of 6 hours per day in front of a screen. Kids ages 11 to 14 spend an average of 9 hours per day in front of a screen. And youth ages 15 to 18 spend an average of 7.5 hours per day in front of a screen. I mean, no wonder kids are subluxated, spines out of alignment, it's irritating the nervous system, and then no wonder we're starting to see more and more kids with degenerative conditions, chronic health conditions, and they're just not healthy. They're just not functioning the way they were designed to function because there's interference in that nervous system. We're seeing this all across the board. You know, your kids, they run, they fall, they jump off the doghouse, they land, they roll, they do all kind of crazy stuff, right? This is why kids have subluxation. Is it making some sense now? Let me show you some success stories in our office and then we'll be done. This little baby had constipation really bad, only having a bowel movement like once every 2 weeks. Not good. Belly was distended, lots of crying. After the first adjustment, the parents left and then later sent me this picture that says, if you can't read it, there it says, "Thanks a lot, Dr. Tabor," and it pointed to a blowout when she finally had a big bowel movement. And yes, that can happen with adjustments and massaging the tummy, the smooth muscle in the tummy. Get that smooth muscle moving and keep them regular. If you watch our documentary at a betterwaychiropractic.com, you can actually see this story with Ethan. Ethan, when he was little, was having seizures. His mom would have to give him seizure medication, which he didn't do well with. But what are you going to do? You don't want him to have seizures, and the medication was really hard on him. So this was his success story. He started getting adjusted and doing a little bit of detox, and he completely came out of that syndrome and is no longer having any seizures. In fact, this is Ethan right now. He's doing absolutely amazing. I still see him every week, comes in the office just for wellness, just to get checked and adjusted. Super healthy kiddo. Watch the documentary, see if not just for this one story. It's a really great story. I don't do it justice just now, just telling it, but super cool family, super awesome story. Now, this little guy right here is my son. This is Jaden. And Jaden was born with some heart defects and had to have open heart surgery when he was only 1 year old. He's been checked and adjusted routinely throughout life. And so this is a good example of sometimes, medicine's necessary. And I thank God for medical doctors that are great, that can help us out when we have a crisis and get us through those crisis situations. But then understanding that once your child gets through a crisis situation, now chiropractic can really help to boost health and healing. And so as Jaden aged, he kept getting adjusted and getting adjusted. He's doing so good now. There's Jason Jaden there on the left side of your screen. There's my whole family on the right side of the screen there. Jaden's actually going to have another heart surgery coming up in a couple months, and he's getting checked and adjusted. We added a hyperbaric oxygen chambers to our practice, and we have patients who are using those hyperbaric oxygen chambers for health. Jaden's using the hyperbaric oxygen to make sure that his body and his tissues are hyperoxygenated before the surgery, and both after the surgery we'll be using hyperbaric oxygen as well as chiropractic adjustments. There are things that you can do for your kids to help them express life and health at a max. And that's what I want to do, hopefully with these workshops and with our offices, is bring that to you and help you to be able to do that for your family as well. So what are the next steps? Well, especially if you're in the Houston area, specifically the northwest Houston area, Cypress or Montgomery, give us a call, visit our website. We'd love to have you come in for checkup. We'd love to see your kiddos. We'd love to see the whole family. And if you're not sure if chiropractic is right for you yet, just call us and schedule a free consultation. We're glad to do that. Or you can set up a full exam there on our website at a betterwaychiropractic.com. Thanks so much again for being with me through this workshop. I hope it helped. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. My personal email is drtabor@live.com. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.